Whether it is chronic illness, a disability, a teacher at school, or a colleague at work, there's a game many people in our society play. It is called Who Has It Worse? It is sometimes an intentional game, and sometimes we begin playing without even realizing we are beginning a competition. The rules are easy. Complain about your situation and make others agree yours is the worst one possible. This game may seem beneficial and harmless at the moment, but in the end, it is quite destructive. Since becoming severely ill many years ago, I've often found myself in situations I would rather not be in. Through chat rooms, message boards, and Yahoo groups, I connected with people who also had similar health conditions. But it also came with people constantly playing the game of, my condition's worse than yours. I quickly grew tired of these constant contests. I did not care who had the worst condition. I just wanted support and encouragement as I walked out this life with chronic illness. Thus, I withdrew and began finding my own way and my own solutions through much study and research. Many years ago, when constant nausea plagued my every thought, I found information which stated ginger was a natural anti-nausea medication. Knowing I did not have this in my home, I went off to the health food store in hopes of finding this herb in capsule form. When I entered the store, a very nice saleswoman asked, "How can I help you?" I said I was looking for ginger pills. The woman whisked me away to the area of the store which had herbs and other food-based medicinals. There, on the shelf, were the ginger pills. I eagerly snapped up the pills and quickly made my way to the cash register. The woman rang up my purchase and I paid for my goods. The woman then placed my one item in a bag, and then she hung onto the bag and asked why I was purchasing the pills. I stated I was having nausea and red ginger could help with it. The saleswoman then started on a very long story about her daughter. She has Crohn's disease. It severely affects her. She sometimes is sick twice a month, which makes her miss her job and miss her work. She's in jeopardy of losing her job due to her frequent absences. And the story went on and on and on. I desperately wanted to get out of the store. I was exhausted and thought I was going to throw up. But I patiently waited and heard the woman's long monologue. When she was done, she still had my purchase in her hands. The clerk then asked, "Why do you have nausea?" I instantly knew she was trying to play the game of who has it worse. I did not want to play this game. I did not want to be part of this competition, but I hoped if I told her why I needed the ginger, she would give me my item and I could leave the store. I quickly summed up my GI issues. I just came back from spending 5 weeks at the Mayo Clinic. My stomach works poorly. There's no motility in my small intestines. Any food I eat is not moved through my GI tract. Instead, it often becomes stuck in my intestines and acts as a bowel obstruction. I have an intestinal feeding tube connected to a feeding tube pump, which delivers liquid formula into my intestines to hopefully mitigate these issues, but it is not working. I'm constantly sick, and I constantly have severe nausea and often vomit. The saleswoman's face blanches. Suddenly, her daughter's GI issues, which affect her daughter 2 days a month, seem like nothing more than an annoyance compared to my complicated GI issues. The woman apologizes for all my health issues. I'm so sorry you have to go through all of this," she tells me. She then sheepishly gives me my ginger pills and lets me leave the store. Although it seemed I had won this round of who has it worse, I was not happy. I do not like telling strangers about my health. I do not like making others feel as though their medical conditions or the medical conditions of their loved ones are meaningless. Even though I did not create this situation, I could sense the saleswoman felt humiliated after she spent so much time telling me about her daughter's health, only to find out I have really horrible GI issues myself. After this happened 10 years ago, I have developed ways to get out of these situations. I've created a few rules to hopefully help prevent this game from ever occurring. Rule number 1, don't engage in the game. If at all possible, avoid becoming part of the game. If the person is complaining about a situation, listen attentively, but do not join in. Nod your head in sympathy. Give words of encouragement, but do not start on your own story of how horrible your own situation is. Be a cheerleader, don't be a competitor. Rule number 2. If you're asked to join the game, refuse. In my health food story, I could have chosen not to tell the woman my health issues. Although you may feel inclined to appease the other person by answering their questions, you do not have to. Remember, it is a question. You have the right to say no. If you are continually pressed for an answer, you can be vague and not give any details. In my story, if the woman would not have taken no for an answer, I could have simply said I had an upset stomach. This would have been the truth and would have left the door wide open as to what was causing my upset stomach. But this also would have quickly ended the game of who has it worse. Rule number 3, change the topic. Sometimes it does not matter if you refuse to play. The other person will continue on their long monologue about how bad their situation is. You may be tempted to join in and tell about how bad your own situation is, just to make the other person be quiet, but don't do it. Instead, interject and change or redirect the narrative. If you hear the other person mention kids, pick up on it and ask about the kids. What are their names? How old are they? What grade are they in school? Once the topic is changed, it usually will continue forward and will not revert back to the former subject. Rule number 4, redirect the topic. If after changing the subject, the person still reverts back to their list of complaints, redirect the topic. Ask the person what would make the situation better. And is there anything you can do to help make the situation better? If you know someone going through similar situations or know someone who has gone through similar challenges in the past, offer to connect the two up or suggest the person join a support group. Anything you can do which stops the story and helps redirect the conversation's focus to creating solutions will help divert the person into a different direction. Now, these are the 4 steps which are absolutely essential to get through a situation in which someone is playing the game of who has it worse. But there are 2 more things you can do which will turn the event into one of positivity and edification. Rule number 5, don't let the situation steal your joy. After leaving the conversation, reflect back on everything the person said. It is easy for the other person to rile up your emotions and make you mad or upset. When thinking about the woman in the health food store, I could have been bitter and thought, well, at least her daughter is well enough to have a job. She only has GI issues 2 days a month. What is she complaining about? I have symptoms all the time. I have a feeding tube and I can't eat. These negative thoughts will only harm you and the person you're thinking about. These ideas will bring you down and make you feel depressed. You may even start playing the silent game of, I have it worse than that person. But don't let this happen. Instead, think about all the challenges the other person is going through and be thankful and grateful. Those same issues are not affecting your life. When I reflected back with the woman at the health food store, I thought, wow, this woman's daughter must be feeling a lot of stress. I cannot imagine having chronic illness and having the constant burden of a job. I know how much worse stress makes my medical conditions. I cannot imagine having all that responsibility and then having symptoms abruptly disrupt my day. The anxiety the woman must feel every time she has to call in sick and tell them she is too sick to work, that must be through the roof. It must be so hard for this woman. Any bitterness or anger towards the person will turn into sympathy and compassion. You will gain understanding of the struggles which everyone faces. When I reflect back on the other person's struggles, I often find myself praising God for everything He has provided in my life. It is amazing that as you look at other people's struggles, you can see so many wonderful blessings and praises in your life, things you often may take for granted. I also ask God to help the other person find solutions to the issues at hand and also help the person find strength, inspiration, and encouragement to keep on keeping on. Rule number 6, follow up if the situation arises. If you think you may encounter the person again in the future, write down a few notes about their situation. What was it they were complaining about? And what was it they were hoping that would improve their situation? Before you see the person, briefly review anything which was challenging them. And when you see the person, ask how the situation is going. Usually, the person will be shocked you remembered their complaint, and many times the issue will have a positive resolution. But whatever the outcome of the situation is, by letting the person know you remembered, future games of who has it worse will often not arise. Instead, the person will discuss their problems in a way which seeks support and solutions to their situation. I hope some of these tips may help the next time you find yourself in a game of who has it worse. May we build each other up and not tear each other down. May we find ways to support and encourage each other in our daily lives. Thank you so much for joining me. Please remember to like and subscribe down below. I hope you have a wonderful week and a wonderful day. Bye-bye.